Well, hey, good morning. You guys, we're doing it. This is our first of many inspirational real life weight loss success stories. So I'm going to let Facebook do its thing. It says that it is working. So hopefully we're going to see. Oh, God, Facebook logged me out. That's okay. We'll make sure we can do it. So I'm going to bring Kelsey in. We're just going to go right for the interview. I'll share who she is, and we're going to dive right in. We've got about 30 minutes there we go. Kelsey, you are on. I think we can see us. I'm hoping. Hey,
Hello, how are you?
welcome. I'm great. Thank you for being here.
Of course, I'm excited.
Okay, good. It's really brave. I think that this is a really brave thing to do. And so I've got questions. So thank you guys for all chiming in with your questions. I've got them all written down, and hey, it is working. Yay. I can see the chat. So I will be keeping my eye on it. And if you have questions that you want Kelsey to answer, please, pop them in, because one of the things I think happens is we are exposed to a lot of weight loss bullshit, and we have no idea what's real, what's not, what's true, what's not. And it's different when you hear the story from someone who's gone through it. So Kelsey, thanks for doing this. And let's just dive right in. I'm going to share your details. So one of the things you can expect every time, ladies, is I want you to understand who Kelsey is, her height, her starting point, what life was like when, for her back then, and then what the journey has been like. So Kelsey, is that all okay with you? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to share your own stats in terms of, more than a year ago when and we'll talk more about, there's been a few journeys that we can talk about here, but just to give women an idea of height, age, starting weight, what's those things?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. So a year ago, when I started into your program in the Weight Loss Academy, I was at a starting weight of 215 pounds, and I'm 5'2". So that's a lot of extra weight to be carrying on my small frame. I'm quite petite. I'm a mini kitty, as we've all heard Jen say in this group before. And I'm 36. So
Okay.
soon to be 37's coming up. And yeah, that's where I started.
All right. So this is interesting because most of you know I tend to work with women over 40. A lot of our clients are in their 50s and 60s. So Kelsey's a bit like a unicorn. But Kelsey, you and I knew each other. Do you want to share what and how we knew each other from? Actually, it'd be 8 years ago now.
Yeah, it has been 8 years ago. So I came to Jennifer back in 2013, I believe it was, and I was in the same spot. I had weight to lose, felt awful, was in my 20s, and I just wanted to look good. I wanted to look hot. I had lots of goals to hit. I had recently been diagnosed with intracranial hypertension, and it was a result of being overweight. And so Jen came to me as a recommendation from my doctor and also a coworker, and I heard her name enough that I was like, I guess I need to connect with this woman, and I did. So I had worked with you previously and had lost the 65 pounds that I had to lose successfully. It came back on
Okay, so let's
because my
pause for a second.
mindset.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So
Sure.
Kelsey,
Yeah.
from my perspective, you were like a very dedicated in your 20 something, very dedicated client. And you did the work in terms of the food work. And I remember when you I had all your data, right? And so 65 a pound, yeah, that's a lot of weight. And I know you were going to jump in and say that, over the next sort of 7 years after we said goodbye and you got to go on a plane again and those things, what happened? What happened in that time frame?
I had that dieting mentality because I'd been on diets since I was 13 years old, basically. And I had the mentality of it was all or nothing. So, yes, I could lose the weight, but it was like nothing was going to phase me. I said no to everything and created basically 9 months of not really living life, if that makes sense. It was just all about what I was supposed to eat, and that was it for me. And so I wasn't learning how to change anything to do with my mindset. It was just lose the weight, get it off, look good. That's all I needed to do. So over time, the weight crept back on because I wasn't in my structure. I wasn't feeling motivated. I went the other way. I went, well, okay, I got to my goal. Yay. guess I'm done. And then
This
went back to eating. I always did.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. So before you contacted me again last year, you were seeing a nutritionist. You went and saw a nutritionist. Can you share this? It just
Yes.
makes me laugh when Kelsey tells the story. So I wanted to share it because she's so honest. So what? So yeah, it's like not like we were social friends. So I hadn't seen you or anything, and so you were back in this place again, actually. And maybe just share what was really going on for you in all areas of your life at that time. So this is 1 year into COVID, right? We've already been under. Okay, so you're share what was going on in your life at that point a year and a bit ago.
Yeah, I was just feeling really crappy physically and mentally, of course. We were all isolated. I was working from home by myself, not seeing any friends due to the state of the world at that time. And mentally was in a bad spot. I felt like I was in a dead end job that was going nowhere for me. I felt lonely and I was bored. And I thought, okay, let's try to make a change here. I went and saw a nutritionist because I thought that would be a good starting point. And I asked her to review, what I was eating and where could I make some changes. So she comes up with this plan for me, and it was very rigid. It was very like, you must eat this for 2 weeks straight and only this. So I thought, okay, I'll be a good student here. I'll follow this and I'll get into it. One of them was a green smoothie that I had to make every morning, packed with spinach and pineapple and 2 lemons. And day one of making this, threw it all up. Like, it was awful. I chugged this smoothie and it came right back up. And I just thought, I don't know if this is what I should be doing. But I did it for a few weeks. I wouldn't say I saw a big change in anything with my weight or how I felt. I just thought, I'm grasping at straws. I need something to change to feel better. So somebody else has to help me. Let's go to the nutritionist. But yeah, I wouldn't say that was very successful. Again, there was nothing about the mindset that came into that. It was about eat this, not this. And I've done that before and not successful.
Okay, so then, so I'll jump in and share. So then it's like, I think it's January. It must be January, I think, Kelsey, and I can't remember. So January, and I get a direct message, and direct messaging me with Facebook is very difficult. I don't always see them. There's lots of messages, and so didn't see Kelsey's message until I saw it. And she's like, "Hey, Jen, just wondering if you could just quickly review or update we call it macros, or basically a nutrition success plan. Do you want to take the lead from that one and that point?"
Yeah, again, I thought, oh, geez, it must just all come down to, what I'm eating, even though I knew exactly what my nutrition success plan was, because you made it so easy, I could remember it. But I thought, well, maybe something had changed. I've put more weight on since I was last in touch with you. I started exercising over the course of those 8 years. I became a Zumba instructor. So I was doing intense cardio workouts 3 times a week, and then 4 times a week, and then 5 times a week, because I thought, if I keep exercising, then I can eat whatever I want.
So that was actually a question from Christine. She said, "Did you exercise before starting your weight loss journey?" And 5 Zumba workouts a week, but no change in necessarily your weight. Okay.
Oh no, I kept putting on the weight, and like, props to my body. I could still move really well and was enjoying my workouts. But again, that was also part of my mentality, that the exercise would allow me to lose the weight. If I just did one more class, then of course I could eat that whole pizza. It'll be fine. And it wasn't. So yeah, reaching back out to you to see if, my nutrition plan could be different was the intention.
And what did I say? I think I said, we hopped on the phone. I think I was like, well, Kelsey, you already know it. Like, it's not just what you know, because women have a lot of knowledge. It's all of the space between knowing and doing, and where the sabotaging tendencies are happening. So I was like, kind of a waste to just like get that prescription again. And I think a lot of women are given a prescription and then no support, right? And you've said it a couple of times, none of the mindset work that's involved with actually going on this journey. So I think you agreed because you're like, oh, you're right. And we jumped back into the next journey. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I knew that if, at the end of the day, you and I both knew that if you had just revised my nutrition plan and that was it, I'd be calling you again in 6 months saying, hey, was on it for a few, but nothing's changed. So I think you knew that there was more to my journey, and so did I.
So let's go full circle for a year now and talk about some of the metrics. We'll celebrate the weight loss to date. Do you want to share what that is, and also what maybe where you want to get to? Somebody did ask about maintenance, and I said, oh, we're not quite there yet, actually. You're not done your journey.
Yeah, I have lost really close to 45 pounds, and I'm so thrilled. I feel amazing. It's still something that always surprises me, I guess. I'm just like, wow, I know I can lose weight, but when you say 45 pounds out loud like that, I feel like I've lost a small child off my frame, and it's been great. It really has. I just feel better in my body. And so you're right, I'm not quite at my goal yet. I'm in the 170s, and I'd like to get down to the 150s. And so I'm getting there. I'm so close to the 160s, and I know I'm creating that change every day by being in this program and, putting the work in on all levels. So
well, and you said something to me today about a friend of yours who you saw, and what she said to you. Do you want to share that? Because I think sometimes we become so weight focused, we forget that there's all of these other changes that happened. What have some of those changes been for you?
Oh man, there has been so many. I'd say the biggest change is that throughout the last year, I'm really learning to trust myself and trust the process and trust the journey of what losing weight means. And at first, you do think, well, I just have to lose the weight. That's it. And then everything else is great. But that's not how it works. There's so many other layers to living our life. And for me, I think I'm really just coming into my own. I'm discovering more of who I am. And yeah, I'm shedding pounds, but I know that my friends and my family can see a completely different side of me. I know that, the term I get told is, oh, you're glowing. And I feel like it. I feel like I am glowing.
Yeah.
I feel that, I was thinking about this on the weekend, and I had made a post on my Instagram page, and I said, so much of putting the weight on for me was to keep me safe. It was to keep me, hidden and small and safe, really, just safe. And losing this weight, but going through the journey of all the mental and emotional aspects, and I know we'll dive into that more, but I feel like I've unzipped a protective winter coat that I've shed. And I mean, I've had a weight loss problem since I was 13. I have gained and lost, gained and lost, gained and lost. I know many people inside this group have done the same. It's a lot. You go up and down, up and down, up and down. You're like, when does it not get like that anymore? But for me, it's always been fear. It's been fear that I think has kept it on, and fear that has allowed it to come back on. And the biggest change for me right now is I'm just no longer fearful. It goes against my personality to be hidden or to be quiet or to be safe. I'm very like, hello, I'm here. So this has allowed me to be more in alignment with my true self.
Okay.
Really. And so I feel like I'm here.
You are definitely
I'm
here.
ready.
Yeah. So for people who may not know what this journey has been like, I guess Jill asked a question, and she said, what's surprising? And we call it a journey, ladies, because most women want weight loss to be quick. You want it to be like yesterday. And I make it really clear. You're going on a journey, and it's a physiological one, but it's also a mental, emotional, social journey. And we have to integrate all of the aspects or dimensions of ourself in the change process. So Kelsey, let's start with Jill's question. I mean, what has surprised you most about this past year for you?
When you learn a new way of being and you are more in alignment and in intention with what you want to create, I think sometimes it surprises me what actually comes my way when I do that. And I am always given great feedback in my life when I do that. So there's times where, we talk about ego and wanting to keep us stuck. right, in a pattern in our habits that we've developed over time. And I think for me, sometimes my ego can be like, oh, this is going to be hard. This is going to be difficult. This is going to take forever. And when I can change that mindset, notice it, first of all, but then change it and then create an action that results in, oh my gosh, that wasn't that hard. Holy crap, I did that. That's where I go, huh, look at that. Isn't that surprising? Even though, I know I can do it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but the surprise on the journey has been how capable I really am. And it's not just a wish or a want, it's proof that I'm doing it. So
that's super powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's a different level this time.
So let's go to the food for a moment, because I think, obviously it does start there. I mean, there's a way that we become overweight. And for many women, it's just consistent or chronic overeating based on their metabolic reality for a period of time. Other women can go through acute periods of high stress where, they fast dive off their priority list. If you had to explain to somebody about, I guess, everybody wants to know what's the secret, what's the dieting protocol in my world, right? And I'm like, well, there isn't one. It's just science, right? How would you describe either what you could have or couldn't have? Like, how do you now think about this and like what it took for you to lose weight so far and what it's going to continue to keep going?
Yeah, this is a really great question. So I'd say before I started the program, I thought about food all the time, 24/7. It was always, what am I going to eat? What's my next meal? Thinking about it so much that it was to the point where I just thought, am I just built differently than others? Surely nobody else can think about food this much. I must be crazy. And I realized that food to me has just been always my comfort, it's my crutch. It's what I turn to when things feel off, when I don't take the time for myself and I feel out of sorts or chaos. The food is there, the drink is there. And I always thought of it as a way to calm myself down and make me feel differently, even in just that moment, right? Yeah. But now that I've gone through this journey, that has flipped. I have other areas of my life that are fulfilling me, with relationships, with, everyone in my life, my family, my friends, romantic connections. And I have a new relationship with food and a new relationship with myself. So now I'm looking at food and going, you know what? I'm in control of this. It's not in control of me. And because other areas of my life, I'm doing the work on those, I find food doesn't need to come in to numb me for, feeling crappy about relationships or feeling crappy about myself or feeling stuck. So food to me is no longer what I can and cannot have. It's what I choose and what I want. And especially when you start to feel really good about yourself and you know that food is not there to make you feel any better, you mentally just make different choices. I find that's what I've been doing. And I think I've leveled up my food as well. I'm making better choices. I'm eating less processed food. I'm eating on a more regular schedule, making sure I get that breakfast in and making sure that my portions fit my body and my frame. I overate a lot. And it wasn't because I was hungry and I needed that food. It was because emotionally something was lacking there. So yeah, things have changed. And I think it all goes hand in hand. There's, yes, you need to eat for what your body can handle.
Yeah.
But then you can't be at the same time eating your pain, eating your frustration, eating your fears. It's just, that won't get you anywhere. So it's all that mental work.
The mental work. And diets just say kale, spinach, lettuce. So you're talking about this now. So Tracy asked, what are the biggest changes in your life outside of the weight loss itself? And so her prompts there were attitude, approach, mindset, problem solving. And I think you're talking about all of this, but just bear with me. I want to just jump back for 1 second, Kelsey, before we lose this one thread, because when you first came to me, and I meet you on Zoom, and you were like, I really think something's wrong with me, Jen. Do you remember? So Kelsey,
I did.
we want to share. So Kelsey's like, like, so she really did think she had a doctor's appointment set. And what were you experiencing back then? Do you remember?
Yeah, I noticed it a lot with my workout. So I'd go and teach a Zumba class, and afterwards, immediately, I would feel nauseated. I would have zero energy. I would have headaches. If I did any weightlifting classes where you're moving your head around, maybe with sit-ups or bent over rows or something, I would feel dizzy. I would just feel gross. So before I came to Jen, I went to my doctor. I was like, you gotta take blood tests here. I was so fearful that there was something physically wrong with how my body was reacting to the food, the workouts, etc. Like, I was worried. And I remember talking to you and you were like,
so I have
yeah,
I
no,
have Kelsey's food diary. I have so I have a food journal printed out in front of me, and I'm looking at it, and I basically I'm like verbally explaining how I would expect to feel if I was nourishing myself or malnourishing myself the way Kelsey was. And Kelsey's like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. So nutrition, I think you make it a couple of distinctions here. It's not just dieting. It's like learning how to actually bring good nutrition in. You said you're up leveling it in all areas of your life, which then creates up leveling. It's all connected. So let's go back to Tracy's question, which is, what are some of the other biggest changes in your life outside of the weight loss? And then we'll get to the question I just saw about determining your goal weight.
Yeah, so I think for sure the trust with myself, that if I say I'm going to do something and then I do it, I'm in more alignment and can continue to trust myself with that process. When I say I'm going to do something and then I don't end up doing it, I've been doing that for decades. And then you just feel crappy, right? When you stick to what you say you're going to do, you learn that trust with yourself. So that has been a big change. With that comes the confidence. Mm-hmm. So before, you're practicing, you're doing it, you see an outcome, you see results, you feel better, and then that confidence grows. And I think that that's also continuing in other areas of my life. I think, I can be somebody that's really unsure of herself, and I don't necessarily think I can do something, but as soon as I do it and prove to myself that I can, that's where that confidence is. So I'm again, just that coming into my own, realizing my potential, mm-hmm. and seeing it unfold. There's a difference between wishing, but then seeing it. So that's been really powerful for me this time around.
Yeah. It's funny. I think in our 20s and 30s, I mean, you are in your 30s, and that's a gift, right? So a lot of times there's something special when you are inclined to go deeper than just, food. When you are willing and when you have the awareness that there's more that's going on here for me than just eat this, don't eat that, and living with rigidity like that, Kelsey. And so I think that's like a super special quality of yours, by the way.
Thank you.
How did you? So, I mean, so I don't prescribe weights for anybody watching who may not know me. I'm Jennifer Powder, by the way. This is Kelsey Pfister. I don't prescribe a goal weight. It's very personal. How you feel in your body is a you choice, where you want to live. I've got some people's end weights or some people's starting weights, and so for you, Kelsey, and I do talk about it. I'll coach and, give you my expertise on terms of I think you've lost enough. Like literally I tell women, no more, that's enough. But how have you figured this out for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I based it off of how I felt in the past when I was that weight before. So for me, my goal weight is 150. Now, some people might be 5'2", and they might say my goal weight is 125 or 135, whichever. For me, I think 150, I feel at my best. And also, it's different. I work out all the time. I have the physical changes on my body since incorporating working out into my life are showing up. So I guess the first time I lost weight, that was great. I didn't do a lot of exercise. It was just purely focusing on what I was eating. This time around, become a Zumba instructor, getting daily exercise in, and I'm an overall active person. I go for lots of walks. I like to go outdoors and hiking, incorporate all the fun stuff into my life. Movement's important for me. And now physiologically, my body has changed with that muscle mass. So to me, 150 feels good. I'm strong, I'm fit, I'm healthy, and I like my curves. I've got an hourglass shape, and I like to still be able to see those curves.
Yes, it's so powerful to own that though, and to know your body type, and to, yeah, I love that. And thank you. Trust is so key. Trust is so key. Most women spend the majority of their lives in a relationship with themselves of self-betrayal. And that's one of the things we heal in the academy, is that relationship to self. And so Christine said, Kelsey, she asked, like, how important has your energy been in the journey? Like how do you get the most out of the highs? And I think that the other part of this unasked question is, well, how do you stay motivated? Like, what do you do when you're not motivated, or you don't feel like it, I mean, you've been doing this for more than a year, and it's why I'm so excited. Well, I mean, there's lots of reasons I was excited to highlight you today, and we'll share more about our professional relationship, but that, like, a weight loss journey. So you guys, 45 pounds, a year plus to do it. Wouldn't you, like, if you have that weight to lose and you got there within that time frame, like, wouldn't you just be over the moon? And it's sort of like we expect it to happen in 2 months or 3 months, which is crazy town. But yeah, what do you do how do you stay motivated, Kelsey?
Well, I know, like, the first part of that question for Christine was about the energy. So when I first came to you, I didn't have any, and I wasn't feeling myself properly for my workouts, which I then realized through working with you, oh, there's a different way to eat here. And it was like, Christine, honestly, Jen was like, okay, this is how you feel yourself for your workout. I immediately, that first day of doing it, I couldn't believe how good I felt. And over time, as I've shed,
I remember you sent me a
it was
text.
just like, Jen, oh my gosh, like, to not feel nauseated and gross after a workout, which usually gives you that high, was fantastic. And since shedding the weight from my body, like, obviously I have more energy because my body doesn't have to work as hard. So I could still dance pretty well with these extra 45 pounds on, but now I feel like I'm flying through the air. I'll take a jump and I swear I levitate before I land. And that is motivating when you see those results. I have a Fitbit that I wear all the time. And Jen and I discussed the other day that, I was doing the same workout, but because I had more weight on my body, I had to work out harder to work with that much extra weight on me, right? So my calorie burn was high. You didn't work out
harder. Your body had to work harder because of how much weight you had to move, which generated a higher caloric expenditure.
It did. And I thought it was so interesting that, since losing the weight, that I'm doing the same workout with that same intensity, but my body doesn't have to work as hard. So the calories that I'm burning have dropped because, again, my body's not, in overdrive. So that is motivating when you see those changes. My journey has not been a straight line. I think everybody should know that. It's not like overall, you would see that I was trending down, but if Jen showed my, weight loss journey in a graphic, it would be like, boop, 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 right? So,
because that is how it looks.
That's life. That's life, exactly. And I'm still living my life. I mean, I'm a social person. I'm going out with friends. I'm having drinks with my girlfriends on the weekends. Sometimes I have too many drinks with my girlfriends on the weekend, and that shows up on the scale. And that's harder for us petite little kitties when we're 5'2". If I have a weekend where I do that, it takes longer for that weight to come off. So this is something that I've accepted on this journey as well, and that I am petite, and that it takes more time for me sometimes when I don't eat with intention to get back to where I want to be. And I think how I keep myself motivated when I get into those moments where I sort of create a weight loss purgatory for myself because I'm not really in alignment and intention. When I talk to Jen about this, it's simply just doing it. It's just doing it because I can get into my head. I can create that hamster wheel where, okay, I know I need to get this off, and how am I going to do it? And okay, well, I wish that the scale would show what I needed to show. And without the action, it's not going to get there. So that's what I've learned to keep that motivation is I have to do all the little things in my day. Write down my food, know what I'm eating, prep, make sure I have what I need to get me through the day and get me through the week, especially when I'm busy, and stay in alignment with those actions. And then I get the change, which then creates that motivation. And I'm back on a better hamster wheel. Can we call it that? It's the up leveling of, okay, all my actions are working. I'm seeing the changes, yay, and up and up and up. But it doesn't, it's not like every week is like that. That's the reality of living life.
That's the
It's always
reality
going
of
to
being
throw you
human.
something.
Yeah, we're human. We're
It's not
human
perfect.
beings doing the best we can, day in, day out, week in, week out. You just cannot give up on yourself. And you haven't given up on yourself. And I think all of us get down on ourselves every now and then, but that's why personally, I think that's why it's so critical to be in a community. It's so important to be reminded of, it's just a blip. No big deal. Keep going. Okay, 30 minutes flew by like that. I've got one last question before we wrap up. And no, we'll be back again next week with another guest. But Catherine was asking, mindful eating. Like, how has mindful eating approaches been helpful? And she talked about how there's other programs that still say to restrict calories or carbs. And I find this so interesting when we use the word restriction, as opposed to, well, maybe we just need to normalize our eating. And actually what you're doing right now is abnormal. Has mindful eating been a part of this for you?
Yes, mindful eating in terms of the emotional work I've been able to achieve. So before, let's say I'm feeling off and I'm turning to chocolate, okay? I'm sure we've all been there. We eat 2 chocolate bars, maybe 3 chocolate bars, and you're hoping to feel better. Before, I would go, oh, I guess there's just something wrong with me. Why would I eat 3 chocolate bars? That's excessive. Now, the mindfulness is, okay, I ate 3 chocolate bars. What is going on for me right now that makes me feel I need to turn to that chocolate bar? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, it's X, Y, and Z. I'm triggered by, a friend, and this has upset me, and now I'm turning to food to seek the reward, which is to feel better and to not feel crappy about whatever had gone on. The chocolate bar is not going to give it to me. I know that now. Wow. So I've had to do the work to figure out another way to get that reward, which is to feel better, to feel calmer, to feel more in alignment. And it can't be food-based. So maybe it's calling a friend, maybe it's going for a walk. Walking my dog realigns everything for me. I can solve the world's problems on a half-hour walk. So, it's just creating something different than turning to the food. That's been the biggest thing. And that's where the success is. And again, that doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't mean that that trigger happens again and I might not turn to the chocolate, but it's just understanding that and being able to practice the new habit. Because I know you talked about it before, we've spent years doing it one way. That is habitual. We've spent maybe 3 days doing it a new way. It will take time, but I understand that. And the time will pass anyways. And it's been a year and 45 is off. And we all know years go like that. So I'm glad that I did this because that's the biggest gift for myself. Yeah. Really.
I can't wait to have you back on when you've been rocking out the weight maintenance lifestyle, because that's the next layer journey. So Kelsey, thank you so much. For those of you who don't know, Kelsey went into the academy and then jumped on the opportunity when a position within the company became available. So not only has she been a client, she's now on the other side of that experience and supports clients with me, and we're a team. So Kelsey, it's been so amazing to watch your journey from a coach perspective and now to be colleagues with you. Thank you for kicking off this interview series. And ladies, if you have questions for Kelsey, please pop them below this chat. We'll be checking the feed today, answering anything else, and who knows, maybe we'll do part 2. But for any of you who are out there who are 5'4" and under, and were like, oh my God, I'd love to have results like Kelsey, then send us a message. We're here to help, and it's different. It's not the way a lot of people out there are approaching weight loss, but it's real. It takes longer, but it's sustainable. And we just want to make sure every woman knows what's possible for her. Okay. See you, Kelsey. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Bye.
Bye.